Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 23rd, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. We got Washington State, Oregon, British Columbia to the top right, Hawaiian Islands bottom left, and our much talked about storm system out here across Pacific Ocean is now under development. You can see it curling up quite nicely. It's got a subtropical tap. It's going to start to move towards the Pacific Northwest here over the next couple of days, and we're going to be watching that closely here today because it looks like it may be packing a punch for some of the region. Then we turn our eyes to a cooler pattern setting up here across much of the west coast of the USA. Some mountain snows are possible. We'll take a look at precipitation amounts and some other things here as well. So if we go ahead and scroll to where we are right now, you can see we do have this weak system kind of sliding through Oregon today. There's going to be some precipitation associated with that. I'll take a look at that in the weather models here in a moment. But then we turn our eyes way to the bottom left here, and that is where the storm system is going to be approaching from as it moves towards Oregon, Washington, Vancouver Island coastlines here. We'll take a look at the wind speeds we can expect from that. And we got some big wave action coming up here as we go through this weekend as well. And just a reminder, I am on Blue Sky now. It is kind of an alternative to X. There's just a lot of ads on X, and there's a lot of some things that are just kind of getting lost in the experience over there. I'm getting bombarded with ads and all kinds of nasty stuff in some of the posts here, but there's pretty good engagement over here. I'm trying to get the Pacific Northwest weather crew to come over here as well, and you can see people like Garrett Hartung have started their accounts here, so the more engagement we can get our Pacific Northwest fellow weather nerds, the better. And I also wanted to point this out. I am doing a storm chasing film. We've been working on this film for almost 5 years, and I've been working with Dan Lee Orr. He's been coming out every single year. He is, kind of a new filmmaker out there, and I want you to check out Only in Toledo. Let's see how many views we can get him. He's got 26 views. It's been out for 3 weeks now. These are exceptional films. They're short films. They're worth your while to watch. Yeehaw Boy is really good. Wallowing Bull just came out now in the last day, so go ahead and check this out. Only in Toledo's been entered in some film festivals out there as well. So anyway, back to the forecast here. Looking at Seattle, 57 yesterday, right about average, 58. And, we had some nice sunshine out there. I caught some images of the comet last night. It's not as spectacular as it was the previous week, but still a pretty nice day out there. Got some fog out there this morning, however. Now, we talked about this yesterday, the model battle here between the GFS and the European and the Canadian and the German model out there and the North American model. We'll take a look at the update starting right now. We got the European on the left, we got the GFS on the right, and what we were looking at yesterday is the strength of this system as it moves towards Pacific Northwest. Yesterday, the GFS had the pressure gradient much further towards the northern tip of Vancouver Island, but you can see it is caved into what the Canadian and the European model are saying. This is bringing a pretty good pressure gradient up some of the Oregon, the Washington coast, even some of the interior areas like Whidbey Island, some of Vancouver Island, Victoria, for example. Even Seattle could get some gusty winds out of this system. So you can see making a close pass here. If this thing were just, another 50, 100 miles inland, this would be a fairly significant wind maker here for a lot of the Willamette Valley and a lot of Southwest Washington and the Seattle Metro. And it still may pack a bit of a punch. And you can see it is a quick moving system. So there's going to be a decent pressure rise behind that. And the wind fills in and it causes some gusty winds as this tracks across British Columbia here, while the Gulf of Alaska deeper low rages. And then we usher in a cooler air mass as we go on in through next week, which we'll be looking at here in a moment as well. So taking a look at where we are right now, precipitable water, you can see this subtropical tap that it does have, and that's going to bring up across Pacific Northwest, decent pressure gradient associated with that. And on the rise, you can kind of see how that develops. You can also see we got Hurricane Christy down here as well. No threat to the Pacific Northwest, of course. A little bit of moisture might get caught up into the Southwest USA there, and then we bring the cooler air masses in. So taking a look at the European as of last night, put this into motion. You can see the development of that storm system here and that strong pressure gradient making its way up the Washington coast towards Vancouver, BC. Look at this low pressure system here across the Gulf of Alaska. And I'm going to back this up a little bit here because look at this. It basically comes from right on the northern fringe of our low that's moving up towards Pacific Northwest. This thing just bombs out rapidly. I mean, you're talking about something that's about 998 millibars, 996 maybe, and it just drops to 985, 971, then 962. So that is a bomb cyclone across the Gulf of Alaska. That's the parent lobe to that lobe that's going to be approaching the Pacific Northwest. And then eventually that starts to usher in this cooler air mass, multiple frontal systems rolling in here, some very cold air aloft, some mountain snows are possible. And we do have multiple chances of that as we go on in through the end of October into early November here. So already putting a little bit of snowfall across the higher terrain, and we're only into October. Now taking a look at what's going on at 10,000 feet, there goes our system out there curling up over the Pacific Ocean, makes its pass at the Pacific Northwest, and look at all this cold air associated with that bomb cyclone there, and it's pouring into the Pacific Northwest as we go on into the early portion of next week. And then again, additional polar lobes may be paying us a visit here as we move towards the end of the month and on towards the Halloween time period there as well. So lots to talk about. Now I wanted to show you the German model because I did show this yesterday. What you're looking at with the reds and the browns are the temperatures aloft at about 18,000 feet. And this is the corresponding mean sea level pressure here at the surface. You can see our low wrapping up, and then it makes its way towards the Pacific Northwest as we go through the day on Thursday. It really starts to pick up steam Thursday night and starts to move into the area as we go on in through the nighttime Friday. And you can see that pretty good pressure gradient there on the German model as well. And again, the bomb cyclone here across the Gulf of Alaska. A lot of cold air is going to be ushered in, as you can see, as we go on into the end of the weekend here, and some mountain snows will start to pile up. Now, take a look at Whidbey Island. Look at some of these winds coming here as we go on into Saturday. We're talking about 54 miles per hour and over a 6-hour period, it looks like. And look at the model agreement. A lot of the ensembles now have 50-plus mile-per-hour gusts. We've been watching this storm system for a while, and you'll notice one of the benefits you have for human forecasters here is because the European largely dropped off a lot of these wind speeds for a couple of days here. And from past experience, I kind of knew not to quite buy into that 100% and you kind of keep that potential for this windy system rolling up in here. And then, of course, as you can see, the ensembles have now bounced back with that solution with these windier conditions across some of the region. If we look out towards Hoquiam, look at this, 50 miles per hour on the Washington coast in the latest control run. Some of the ensembles agree, and a vast majority of them do have a lot of gusts up into the mid and upper 40s. Some of them even stronger gusts up over 55 miles per hour. Seattle-Tacoma, 41 miles per hour. That would be the strongest wind so far this season. There are a couple members here with some 50 mile per hour gusts, but caution, there are some members that don't have much. I mean, look at this one, 16, 21, 19, 21, 22 miles per hour. But you can see there are still a fairly decent amount of ensemble members that show those 40 plus mile per hour gusts. So there's still some uncertainty in just how strong of a system this is going to be across some of the interior areas, but there is some potential. Now, if we look a little bit further south across Portland, going to be away from that pressure gradient, the best pressure gradient, but there's still some members showing 30 or a 40 mile per hour gust. But you go up to the Oregon coastline here and you can see plenty of them showing upper 40s or 50s, and the control run right at 42 miles per hour, Astoria at 44. But look at Quileute on the northwest Washington coastline at 57 miles per hour. That's approaching severe wind criteria, and you can see a lot of those ensemble members. Some of them have 60 plus mile per hour gusts as that low pressure system makes a close pass to the Washington coast. And look at Victoria International, 95 kilometers per hour. It's pretty intense gusts showing up in here, but still there is a lot of disagreement in the ensemble members here. So good thing we have a couple days. Sorry about the volume there. We have a couple days to work this out, but you can see it is trending a bit stronger. And now looking at the wave action also. So here goes our initial system there. You can see the waves arriving with this as we go through late Friday night and Saturday morning. Actually, some portion Friday night here for the Oregon coast, a little bit later for Washington. And then that bomb cyclone here is going to spread another shot of waves as we go through the day Sunday as well. And we get a little bit of a break here, but then maybe some additional wave action here as we go on into the end of the following week. Looking at total snow, Kuchera ratio on the European yesterday afternoon's run. So what I want to point out here is we go on into the weekend, watch this colder air arrive. It starts to hit British Columbia first, but look at this starting to pile up across the Washington, Oregon Cascades, some places east of Rocky Mountains. And this is only late October. This is not a bad snowfall for October by any means. It's decent even for later on into the fall and as we get on in towards December. This is not bad. This is a good start for the season for snowfall. Who knows how much of this is going to hang around by the time we get in towards November. If we get a strong atmospheric river and whatnot, a lot of this could be eaten away, but it is nice to see it early in the season. And if we look at total precipitation in inches, right now we don't have any huge washout coming in here, but you can see there's some pretty good amounts across the North Cascades. And this is going to kind of keep things saturated for a lot of Vancouver Island and Southwest BC, not giving us a lot of time to dry out from that very dramatic atmospheric river that we previously had, mainly Olympics, North Cascades, northbound across Vancouver Island and Southwest BC. But some decent amounts all the way down towards Northern California showing up on last night's run. And this is total snow in inches on the national blend of models. Check it out. Again, in pretty good agreement with the European, and you can see across the Rockies there. So Olympic Mountain's going to get a nice coating of snowfall also. And looking at yesterday afternoon's 2-meter temperature anomaly, so it's basically temperature at the surface. You can see we're going to keep things below normal for the next couple of days. But then as we go on in towards Friday, we're going to warm things up in advance of that system. Then the colder air arrives here, and you can see we remain below average as we scroll off in through the 10-day period coming up here. So yeah, fall weather, active weather, lots to watch here over the next few days, no doubt. And if we look at the 6 to 10 day, the Climate Prediction Center is all over it. They got the blues out there kind of showing the potential for the below normal temperatures there. 6 to 10 day, the Pacific Northwest is included. 8 to 14 day, much of the West, all the way through November 5th. And that above average kind of broad brush there for the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, here goes our storm system. This will be riding up as we go through Friday night on in through the day Saturday. And the colder air masses will be moving through as we go through next week. Lots to talk about, lots to watch over the next few days. And again, watch Dan Lior's stuff down here to the bottom left. I'll leave that link down there for today. But otherwise, hope you guys are having a good day. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.